think that's, for me, always been the way I've approached my work. I've looked at the situation and I decided, okay, what's here and what's not here? And that's my art, the part that's here. I find the different ways that humans have found to express themselves with their bodies endlessly interesting.
Dance is such an integral part of being human, I think. Everyone has it in them and does it, even whether there's a witness or not.
But I think as long as you, as the dancer or the mover, feel as though you are dancing, then that's what it is.
Yeah, but when you have something to say, you use words, and when your emotions become stronger than that, you start to sing, and when the emotions become even stronger, you have to start dancing. Instinctively, you start to go like this, and you want to jump up and down.
Whether you're a dancer or not, I think it's something your body naturally does when you feel emotion, which I guess is an extremely pure response. I think it's also one of the few art forms, I mean, it takes up time and space. In the moment that it lives, it's also gone.
In the first part of the process, the dance leads and the music isn't even there. Then the music comes and the music leads, and all of the discoveries in dance are being rediscovered in the context of the music. And we will go in the studio and just experiment for several weeks and collect tons of material. And while doing these experiments, the dancers' contribution is enormous.
That's what makes it fun to do as well. You can kind of take the limits of classical ballet and break them open a little bit.
It's this limitation that leads to more freedom, and it creates this structure to then break away from. Because he lets us have so much of a say, we are so heard, that it can be like tense at times.
The ballet world is very gendered. But the thing is that I think if people come and look at the company from the outside, I think some of them find like, oh, look, there we go again, a group of women and the boss is a man. Having the company all female has become an artistic choice. My own personal belief is that anything a man could do in terms of dancing, a woman could also do. In an old-fashioned, traditional ballet sense, the man is the partner, the woman is being partnered. It never changes. Now you can have a situation where one person is in one moment she's being partnered and the next person she is partnering. I don't think any aspect of ballet is particular male or female.
Tracy and I both have this down for anything kind of attitude, so you get us both in the studio and we really feed off of each other.
Yeah.
And then Tracy's also very competitive, so it's like we just get into these grooves of I think we could do it.
Yeah. And if one person is like, no, or Miro is like, no, then
one
the
of
other
us is
will
going to be like, no,
we can't.
we can make it work.
We can make it work.
I think I have probably experienced more artistic freedom and creative input here than I have with any process I've ever undertaken.
I get to truly say something through that movement.
In the end, they're the ones communicating to the audience. I think the best way to change society is to sort of be true to yourself and do what you want to do.
I just am a completely different dancer. Everything comes from a place rather than, I think I was dancing a lot outside in when I came, and now I'm dancing inside out. You know, instead of just stepping, you're kind of like pushing into that step. It's about getting there. Everything comes from the toes, and it's just so much more, I don't know, like tactile.
Like you can do the steps perfectly and then have not really any of like yourself in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot harder for the audience to connect to.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's really hard to get to that point.
I think in the chamber setting, it's a little bit easier because you see people's
Yeah.
faces right there.
How many times have you been in a theater and been like, oh, they were pretty,
Yeah.
and then moved? Like, that happens to me all the time.
I think that's
so.
the big danger with ballet, and the part that is easy to fall out of love with.
Traditional ballet performances where you have a stage and a fourth wall, you have to have a different mindset in your dancing, and you have to like showcase yourself in a certain way. But New Chamber, you have to like learn how to be a chamber dancer. The audience sees everything, and you don't just become like a background ever.
With the theater, it feels like you're kind of being put up on this pedestal, and I think, you know, when you run into people outside of that, then they're always like surprised by the way you look as a normal person.
Kind of like you're a painting that someone's coming to observe in a very removed kind of way, whereas in this setting it feels like a conversation.
I think it's also really cool being able to hear people like shift in their seats, and things that are supposed to be seen in a theater as like a distraction to the performance. It actually enhances it. It makes it more real and tangible as a performer.
There's a real human body that is sweating and that is getting tired and that is struggling very often to do certain things. And you, at the same time, you see the sublime and transcendent art. So you always have the two. So you're part of it too. And it's almost like you could almost, you could almost just also get up. What keeps you from getting up and joining them?
We all have to like carry the show at one point or another. It creates like an even safer space to have a room of people that feel for you and for each other.
Everyone's a soloist, which kind of takes out that element of competition, and so we're able to just be a group of people who really enjoy dancing with one another.